I'm Tatum Skipper, and welcome to Real Florida Magazine.
Welcome back. Here today on the beautiful campus of Florida Panhandle Technical College, another in our series of what's going on in the community. Spring has almost sprung. I know that it's the dead of winter, but the days are beautiful. Sometimes, we use our heat on the way to work in the morning, and we use our air conditioning on the way home. 30, 40 degree mood swings, I was going to say temperature swings. But it's been a beautiful winter so far, and I don't know that it's even been cold enough to kill the mosquitoes yet. I know I've still seen some of those around. We've got a treat today, though. We've got Misty Curtis from the Celebration Place in Panama City, and Chris Finley from Skater's Choice, also in Panama City. We're going to talk to these young ladies about their venue, and in the case of Misty, her wedding planning and execution business, the good kind of execution. I'm really excited. I met Misty many years ago, a good friend of her mom and dad at the time, actually shot video and photo at their wedding, and saw her at the Bridal Expo here in Panama, in Chipley, this past weekend. So asked them to come on up, and we're going to talk a little bit about their respective businesses. That's what I love about what we do for a living. I get to talk to all kinds of interesting people. In this case, rejoined with some old friends. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Celebration Place and Skater's Choice in Panama City, and we will be right back. Welcome back. As mentioned, our guests today are Misty Curtis and Chris Finley. Thanks so much for taking the ride up here. I was going to say from Panama City, but actually you guys were in Marianna this afternoon talking about your STEM programs as it relates to what you offer at the Skater's Choice. Is that right?
Yes.
I keep thinking I messed up, and I'm looking to you for affirmation here. Misty, I saw you on Sunday at the Washington County Ag Center, 8th Annual Chipley Bridal Expo. It was the first one you had been at. How did you do? It was a little bit disappointing. It was a little bit slow.
It was a little bit slow. I was really hoping for there to be, at least 100 brides or so, but I was glad to meet the people that I met, and I was really glad to meet the vendors that I met. That was really nice, and really glad to see you too.
Yeah, well, likewise. I got to tell you, in the past, they've had 40 and 50 brides. I don't know that they've ever had 100, but I have been kind of unplugged from that event here in the last few years. But I think somebody told me 20 is what they enjoyed. In your case, probably just that networking with the vendors was really as good as anything. The brides is a one-time thing, whereas a vendor, they do lots of events in the course of the year, so I can see where that you have a value there.
Yes.
Chris, Misty mentioned you when we were talking on Sunday, said that she did some stuff cooperatively with you, and that you guys were going to be up here on the ridge, as we like to call it, north of I-10, and talking about your respective businesses to the school system. And so I appreciate you coming. You actually provide or offer programming that has to do with the STEM educational portion of the school districts at Skater's Choice. Talk about how that works.
The STEM program, as it applies to roller skating, of course, in STEM, you want to take the principles of learning and put them into real-life situations. So roller skating is a win-win for that. We are able to show them inside of a skating rink with music and the actual components of roller skating and the roller skates themselves, and then the frequency of the floor and the sound and how all of that plays in together. Then they can put it in real life situations and apply it in their STEM lessons.
So the engineering, the physics, the audible portion of it, all of that relates to something, in this case, that science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is STEM, makes total sense. Who would have made that leap? Who would have thought? It must have been a marketing person that says, you know what, we're going to explore every avenue to market roller skating, and this one, it makes sense. STEM right now is huge. I think that there's a national effort to boost our science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in that middle school. And now it's even translating, I think, to the elementary school. We've got a very robust STEM program here in Washington County where we find ourselves today. As a matter of fact, we actually do some of that educational process here in this classroom when they do the robotics and rocket camp in the summertime. It's a week-long program. I think now they probably have 30 or 40 kids that are in that program. They started off making Lego programmable robots, and then they built a solid fuel rocket that they actually end up taking off here on campus. So that's pretty cool. Misty, what's your involvement with Chris and her skate rink environment there?
Well, I typically teach the lessons, and so I'm helping her try to find some more, tell all the schools about it. You know, it's a kind of a new concept in our area.
Sure.
So we're trying to just educate all the schools and give them information so that they can plan field trips and come learn.
You went to school to become a primary education teacher.
I did.
So that dovetails perfectly. Have you actually had the opportunity to teach prior to this in a school environment, or is this the first time you've taught?
I'm a substitute teacher, so I do substitute teaching when I have time, which isn't that often. But I also was a tutoring teacher at Parker Elementary, so I've had a little bit of experience.
The Celebration Place, when I first met your mom and dad, your mom had built and was running Celebration Place. But it was a family effort. I know you guys were all involved.
Yes.
It was an all hands on deck every time that there was an event, or every time you rented tables and chairs and all that goes with any special event. Talk about that morphing. How did Celebration Place, as far as you're concerned, get started, and bring us up to present day in a nutshell?
Okay. Well, when we moved to Panama City in 1998, my mom wanted something to do, and she loved to throw a party. So she started a cafe and a party hall. And she just really had a great time with it. And then it just grew and grew and grew. We outgrew the original building we were in. And then she ended up buying a company that did rentals that she had worked with. She just went ahead and bought the company from them. And so we started off with a little bit of rentals. And then we went and bought another company. And then we bought Pen Rent. And then we bought another company. So we ended up buying, 4 or 5 different companies and turned into a gigantic rental company. Once we kind of acquired all of that, we were going to, she had Party Hall, of course, and we had several of them, but then once she got sick and she passed away, and I had to kind of figure out what to do with the business. It was pretty much me at that point, so I had to figure out how to make the business mine. And I've learned through the years, she passed away 8 years ago in November, I've learned what I like to do that was part of that business, because she liked to cook and cater and do the photography and the DJ and the singing and the entertainment. I'm not that person. So what I do love is organizing the events. I love meeting with the brides. I could talk about a wedding all day long. It's one of my favorite things. So the wedding planning side of it was definitely my cup of tea. So I found out, 5 or 6 years ago that I really enjoy that, and I'm actually pretty good at it. So we now do the rentals. We've improved our equipment, the quality of equipment, the amount of equipment. I have more things to rent than I could ever actually rent in a weekend, even if I did all the weddings in all the surrounding counties.
Wow.
So we have a lot of equipment, thousands of chairs, hundreds of tables, lots of decorations and linens and dishes. And we've got a very large variety of things to rent. And then I also do the wedding planning. We've got several packages, different ways to help people, different budgets, different amounts of people. I just love sitting and talking with brides. I could do it all day long.
And that's where you and I differ. We do a lot of photography, and I hate the mothers of the bride. I mean,
they're my favorite.
After the fact, they're great. They're wonderful people, but to deal with them, and we don't even do weddings anymore. Your mom, originally, you were located on Laverne, there in downtown, just off Harrison, downtown Panama City.
Yes.
And you had a cute little place, like you said. You did karaoke, you did all kinds of stuff, and then it certainly did. It exploded.
Yes.
And I think that the market pretty much regulates itself. If there's a need for something, then somebody's going to step up and provide that and either do well or not in that business. Chris, there are only, 2 or 3 skating rinks now in Panama City, or are the old ones? Are you the only one?
I'm the only skating center, and that's just taken place in the last couple of years after I got here. Because
the old one was behind the old Tommy Thomas location on 15th Street, back there with IRS's and all of those government offices. I can't remember the name of that street that goes behind Knology, there, or where Knology used to be. Yeah. Is WOW still there? The old West Building Supply, they're on the corner.
Yes.
And there used to be, is it Circle K or
Silver Circle?
Silver Circle.
There was Silver Circle East and Silver Circle West.
Okay, and then what about the one on the beach?
Rocket Lanes.
Rocket Lanes. Did they
There's
have?
Rocket Lanes.
Do they still have skating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But they're on the beach and they're way
Yes.
on the west end. So you've got a monopoly for all practical purposes on the east side of town.
That's what they tell me. So.
Well, how far do people come to skate? And let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about the skating rink itself. What days are you open and what kind of hours do you keep?
We're open every day except for Mondays. We set that time aside for private parties. But we have daytime hours when school's out. Anytime school's out, we're open 10 to 3. And then we're open every evening, Tuesday through Sunday, during the week and on the weekends. Saturday, we're open all day, noon till 10 p.m.
And how are you doing? Are you busy?
Yes, we're doing very well. Very well.
Skating it goes back a long way. My first skates were the kind with the key. Are you old enough to remember those?
Yes, I am.
You know, when they came apart, they were two pieces,
Yes.
and they were
Fit
little
over your
clamps that
shoes.
fit over your shoes, and they ruined more shoes than I could take a
Yes.
stick at. Parents hated them.
Scratched them.
But you know, those roller skating keys were like gold. You put it around your neck on a piece of shoelace or something. And the guy with the key was the king because he's the only one that you could go to. You couldn't tighten your roller skates without a key.
That's true.
And the key was like a square recess bolt. And so, but skating's been around a long time, much to the orthopedist's joy, I'm sure. You know, we took our skates apart and pulled them apart and nailed them to a piece of 2x4, and those were the first skateboards. So skating really morphed into skateboards. And when I was a kid, you found somebody with a pair of skates, and you could make two skateboards out of a pair of skates because you used the front and the back, and then you could make another one. And so obviously those progressed into, you know, you can spend a lot of money on a skateboard anymore. What about skates? Have skates gotten expensive and very high tech and engineered just like skateboards have?
They have. They just like skating itself has been a trend. And skates today, you know, you have speed skates, you have jam skates, you have hockey, you have just regular inlines. You know, they all have different names. And
Kind of like ice skating then.
Yeah, and you can customize your skates or just buy packaged skates.
And do you sell skates as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
We
so somebody
sell-
comes a half dozen times and say, you know, this is something I really want to do. I don't want to rent anymore. They'll actually save some money by bringing their own skates?
Yes, they'll save their skate rental.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have an admission fee,
Yes.
and then you have a skate rental.
Skate rental fee.
Now, if somebody comes and brings their kids, do they pay to get in as an observer, or can you go in at any time?
We don't charge adults if
Okay.
they're just coming to stay. We encourage them to stay with their children and make it a family.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Nightmare for you is 200 kids without a supervision in there.
Yes.
How many can you accommodate at one time? Are you governed by fire marshal or somebody, or how many?
Fire
can you-
marshal usually governs, you know, what we're able to do, but we, you know, we try to monitor, like if we have a large crowd, like for instance, our New Year's Eve bash, we had like 225. And so we'll play different games and have things off floor as well as on floor to keep them all kind of spread out evenly throughout. We have a game room and we have a kiddie corner for 5 and under. So we try to just keep it to where, you know, they're not all on the floor at the same time.
Well, it's like anything else. You have to occupy that entire family. I would imagine you've got a snack bar so mom and dad can go over there, get a cup of coffee, still be able to be in visual distance of their kids. Like you say, you've got a little place for the preschoolers so they can, what do you got, Nerf balls or a soft pit
Like
or
a
something?
little, like a little bouncy house and a little jungle gym type.
Keeps them busy. The pre-adolescents and adolescents are out on the floor. You got to have a disco ball, I imagine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, was this an old skating rink that you bought? You didn't build it, or
It was a skating. I think it was built in '77, and it was a family to the one that you mentioned before, Silver Circle.
Okay.
It was a family that started that business, and they were on different opposite ends of the town. And as they grew older and retired and things, they passed it along to other people, sold it.
Are there a
sold it
lot
out.
of expendables associated with that? I mean, I know you have to probably buy new skates every once in a while because they only last so long, and the rollers give out and they take damage over time. But overall, is it a high maintenance business or is it relatively low maintenance?
The skates themselves are not very high maintenance, but the building can be what you would call high maintenance. Just, you know, the wear and tear on the building and the equipment.
So you got obviously music playing, and I would imagine on Friday night you got dating going on sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And so you have songs and people dance or skate to a song. Have you got a DJ there?
We do. We actually train our own DJs. My manager is probably our most one that's requested. She's been there the longest and entertains them very well. We spend a lot of time playing games with them out on the skate floor. Limbo, we still do the limbo, and chicken dance, and the cha-cha slide, and races is their favorite. They love to race, and there's new games out now that we play with them, but we try to entertain them with games as well as the old school. Their favorite's the old school music still, because that's the best music to roller skate to.
It's kind of hard to roller skate, I would imagine, to rap or to the urban music, because it's so staccato. I mean, you need something that kind of flows. So I would imagine that it'd be pretty tough to roller skate to Snoop Dogg.
We'll throw a song out there here and there, but for the most part, it's what we call old school.
Especially disco.
Yeah.
Disco, it seems like, really lends itself. Because it seems to me when disco was at its height, which I hated because I was a working musician and I was a drummer. I wasn't a musician, I was a drummer. I hung out with musicians. But when disco, it really knocked us out of a lot of work, and but that was one of the things that really, at the time, Saturday Night Fever, roller skating rinks seemed to get another resurgence or push. Appreciate you being here. When we come back, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the STEM portion of what we're here to talk about. So we'll do that when we come back. We're having fun, obviously. We've got Misty Curtis from Celebration Place in Panama City, and we've got Farley. Is it Farley? Finley. We're having fun today, and I'm going to have a blooper reel, certainly, that we can use after this is over. We've got Misty Curtis from Celebration Place in Panama City, and Chris Finley, who has Skater's Choice, also in Panama City. Actually in Parker, but my memory's bad enough, so we're saying Panama City. When we come back, we're going to talk about that STEM program. I think that's the part that really gets my attention. I'm glad we're able to talk about both of your business, but science, technology, engineering, and math, right now the school district's embracing that to a great extent. It is our future. They say that we are, in our universities, are not producing the engineers and some of those higher math-skilled professions, and that's why so many people are coming from other countries to work here. I can't help but think, with our change in administration, with our refocusing on America First and Made in America, by American, that just exactly those educational programs that are involved in those STEM programs are going to be what propels us into that rest of the 21st and certainly the 22nd century. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that STEM program. Hopefully you're going to stick around, and we will be right back.